Okay, so what I'm going to do in this video is to make a digital mock-up of my gallery space. I've done this about 5 times already, so I'm kind of going with this, and if I screw up, I'm going to just keep running through. Um, but what I'm going to start off with is showing you this is a quick mock-up of a gallery space for a show that I installed last month. And I've got two different sizes of frames, but I wanted to kind of approximate the spacing. I'll just kind of zoom into this real quick and show you that like this. I did this differently than I'm going to do this one, but this is like a 1 foot inch equals, or sorry, 1 foot equals 1 inch scale. But these would be like 16 by 20, and this is about a foot spacing between them, which is how I normally do it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually insert the images into the boxes so we can talk about your sequence and if that seems to flow right. You're going to need to put in a pedestal for postcards and business cards. For me, it was in a separate place. And then wall vinyl. And I think, oh no, the other thing I forgot was your artist statement. Usually artist statement just goes above the pedestal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this space here into a InDesign mockup. You could do this in Photoshop too, but I've actually decided that I think InDesign is probably easier since you're already working with InDesign for your postcard and business card. Let's not learn a third program or another program if we don't need to. All right, so so here's my space. I wouldn't put a pedestal on this side. There's not really enough space between the door and the wall board, and this door needs to be accessible. So it normally goes either here or right in front of the pillar. Pedestals are usually 18 by 18, 40 inches high, approximately. That's the majority of ours. There are some that are larger, and we tend to prioritize those for sculptures, and they're about 24 by 24. I should mention that there's actually 24 by 48-inch tables that do have plexi covers, but I don't think anyone in this semester was going to use them. Yeah, so I would just center that on the pillar and put the artist statement above it. Be careful when you're attaching an artist statement or anything to the wall. You cannot use a strong adhesive, just like some Scotch tape, maybe double-sided Scotch tape. Don't use anything stronger than that, or you'll rip the paint straight off the pillar. All right, so let's look at, this is the gallery floor plan that's up on D2L, and I've zoomed into the space so you can see the door and the pillar, and I've got the measurements in here. I don't have the measurements for height, but I believe the bottom of these boards are about 1 foot off the ground. They go to about 9 foot high, and the ceiling might be about 10 foot. There's a little bit, there's probably 6 inches between the parts that come down here and this, so we're going to approximate. Most people don't use the full height of the wall. It's the spacing left to right that's really the most important. So I'm going to go ahead and take that 17 foot 10 inches and translate it into a new document. And I've already done the math, and I'm going to use inches. So I'm actually looking at inches. 1 inch equals 1 inch, in the program. And I've already counted for the 2 feet of the pedestal on the left, and it gives me 238 inches, 120 inches wide. Something like that. Now, like I said, it's 24 inches wide for the pillar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a guide in at the 24-inch mark. And where'd it go? Try that one more time. There we go. And I'm going to go down to the bottom, and I'm going to come up to, let's see, 108 would be 12 inches off the floor. I could pull down 12 inches from the top, and that will give me my approximate space. So pillars here, the actual space is here. I'm going to draw in a box to fill in the actual space. We're zoomed really far out, so a 1 pixel stroke might not be enough. I'm going to go to about 5. Oops, that will show a little bit better. Yes. And just to kind of continue my pillar, I'm going to put in a line going straight up and a line going straight down. And I can turn off my guides and just stick with actual space. So I'll go down into the left corner here. Like I said, I'm going to put my pedestal in. I said it was about 40 inches wide. So, or sorry, 40 inches tall. So I'll go and make a, what did I say, 18-inch wide by about 40 inches tall. All right, that's close enough. And I'll just recenter that because it's about an inch off. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in a guide at about a, let's see, 62 inches would be 120 minus 58. So that line is 58 inches off the floor, and that is where you want to center your artwork top bottom wise to make one nice straight line. Or if you have different sizes, it's just your center line for your height. And that is an average person's height. It's even a little bit below eye level for an average person. And the idea being that it should be easy for a shorter person to see it. Now, some people are really short, so 52 inches might be, if they're let's see, if they're about 5 feet tall, their height for eyes is maybe around 52 inches, but looking up, 5 or 6 inches isn't terrible. But tall people, you have to accommodate for the short people. You can't put them all, 6 feet off the ground. It would not be very good. All right, so I'm going to make another box here. I'm using this box with the rectangle frame tool because I can insert images into it. And I'm going to make a approximately 8 by 10 size document or box. And that's going to be for my artist statement. So my artist statement will go centered approximately above the pedestal on that center line. And I just need to find the center. There we go. When that green line connects between the two, that means this one is now centered above the other one. Okay, and now I will go ahead and start dropping in some works. So I'll maybe make a, let's see, I got a 20 by 24 approximately. I'm gonna make it just like 21 by 25 because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make that kind of stand out by putting about a 20 inch or 20 point stroke on it, maybe a 30 point. That's still a fairly thin frame, but so there's a 20 by 24 inch piece, and I'll kind of drop it down on the center line. Say they're all the same, I could just copy that and paste it and then drag it over. I just dragged over the wrong one. Oops. Oops, come on, there we go. Okay. 1, 2, 3. So these are large. And this space is the smallest, being 17 inches. So smaller works are probably best suited for this space. And I want to leave a little bit of space. I like to space them out about a foot, but being that this space is kind of tight, I think I need to go a little bit more, a little closer together. So what's that put us at? 24 to 30 would be about 6 inches. I'm just going to get this on the center line. And I can just go through here and I'm all right, 55 plus 6 inches would be 63. Wait, sorry, that's not right, 61. And I'll just get this down on the center line. All right, so if I pack them closer together, this is working. I'm not sure if I actually did the math right on all those. Okay, I can fit another one in there. I'm just copying and pasting. Yeah, all right, so that actually works pretty well. So I can fit 6 pieces in here, 20 by 24 size. It'll work fairly fine. Larger, spaces, I could probably fit in 50% more, which would be, really ideal, or even space them out just a little bit more. Keep in mind, if you're in the library or any of the other rooms that have corners, you'd want to leave a lot more space in a corner, because if you're standing in the corner looking closely at a piece, you don't want to be bumping up against the work on the next wall, if that makes sense. So if you if you think of your body as being, I don't know, 2.5 feet wide, you want to leave a good foot and a half at the corner if you can, instead of having the frames essentially, almost like touching at the corner. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we want wall text. And now, if you wanted, you could go into Silhouette Studio. It's a program you can download on any computer. Just go to the website. It's free to download. And you could make it, and you could screenshot it and drop it in exactly how you have it designed. Or for now, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make a text box approximately where I think I'd put it, and I'll size the text, close to being the right size. And that can be a placeholder. And then once I actually have the vinyl cut, I'll just actually, take a screenshot and drop that in. But so small. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bump it up considerably. 150. Okay. So I'm just typing what I would normally do for this. Ersatz, photography. I should probably be like a solo. My business card, I'd probably put all that information postcard, I'd probably put all that information, but I do the title of the show. And maybe it's longer than this, but this is basically what I would have for mine is the title of the show. Most people have more than a one-word title, but this is what I do for many of my one of my projects. And so maybe the actual title of the show, and keep this in mind when you're actually designing your vinyl, the title of the show probably should be pretty large. And I might make that like 250 point font to, it won't take. Let's see that text. Okay. So it kind of draws attention. And it's really high, so I'm going to kind of bring it down and center it. And really, you want it to, like a lot of people will just center things, and that doesn't really look as good. But I think what I have here is the title of the show needs to be even larger to look right. And maybe my name needs to be a little bit smaller because it's still wider than the rest of this. So I mean, it's going to look different when you get into the silhouette. You're going to change you choose your right font. You might change a little spacing between the lines or the width and that sort. But when you get into the vinyl cutter, you want to approximate, okay, my pillar is 24 inches wide. I don't really want to fill it completely. Maybe the whole thing needs to be 18 inches wide. And in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of just recenter it a little bit over my art statement. All right. But then I know approximately where it's going to go, approximately how wide it's going to be. All right, now for our actual images and our artist statement, your artist statement, you'd probably have to export it as a JPEG file in order to drop it in there. But for the rest of these, you can just click on it and go to File, Place, find your good quality, but not too incredibly high resolution versions. My computer's going to freeze. Oh no. And drop them in. All right, I'm just going to grab this random photo. Okay, there we go. And it drops it in. And then I can click on the next one and go File, Place, oops, File, Place. There we go. And I'll grab a different image. File, Place. And the thing you should note is that on some of these, the box is not the same proportion or it's not sizing correctly. So if I need to, I can kind of pull this down and in so that the whole image actually shows. Just don't size it too small or you'll see white background, right? All right, I'm just going to do them all. Okay. And all right, so I got to drop in my artist statement, which I don't have a JPEG of, but otherwise I think I have everything I listed. I've got a pedestal for my business card and postcard. I've got my works sized, the dimensions they're going to be, spaced evenly, spaced, the way they're going to be. Did I say understatement? Wall vinyl. I think that's about it. We're not going to worry about the actual wall labels. I mean, if you want to get crazy with it, wall labels are usually, I'd say, I want to say they're about 2 inches wide. I usually make them about 1.5 inches tall. And in this kind of layout, there isn't a lot of room for it. So I normally align them about 1.5 inches to 2 inches off from the piece. And then at the bottom of the wall label to the bottom of the frame. In this case, there isn't really room for that because I'm so tight, right? So if I space it out, then it's almost centered between the two of these. So a alternate would be to drop it down here. I don't like this. This is not as professional. This isn't what galleries normally do. But it's more clearly connected to that work. And I always put it on the right side, bottom right side, because you don't want to, you read the image and then you read the text. And this is kind of how I've said things about slideshows too. All right, so one other option would be get rid of the wall label there. And I don't know if there's really not room to do this here, but you can have either a list of works. So it could be maybe your artist statement only takes half the page, and then you have a list of works and you title them 1 and the title and all the info for this one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And then you put a little pin. They have map pins that just are little numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you put the pin, and it's smaller, so it takes less space, but you put the pin next to the work. So this is a way of sort of experiencing it without that text or anything else being visible or in the way. This is why I would say a foot apart for works is usually best, and then just space it 2 inches ish off the right hand side of each work consistently, aligned to the bottom of the frame, but actually in the physical space to the right. All right, I think I'm going to stop there.